Good morning and a very happy Women's Day to all of you. Today's read is about a piece for Women's Day. The best time in history to be born a woman. International Women's Day is often written in the language of struggle. And for many women, that language remains painfully accurate. There are women denied education, women pushed out of workplaces, women harmed inside homes that should have been safe. Nothing in this piece questions that reality. But there is another thought that deserves space beside them. What if this is also the best time in history to be born a woman? Not perfect, not equal everywhere, but undeniably better than the era before it. The question that becomes uncomfortable but necessary. Are we fully seeing that progress? Or have we inherited the emotional language of struggle so deeply that we sometimes miss the freedoms already around us? This is not a dismissal of hardship. It is a reminder not to ignore the opportunity. The paradox of progress. Every generation of women lives better than the previous one. Life expectancy has increased. Maternal mortality has fallen sharply over the past few decades. Girls' education has expanded across most regions of the world. In many developed economies, women are now the majority of university graduates. Leadership numbers are rising steadily, even if they are still far from equal. Yet, emotionally, the cultural script often sounds unchanged. Behavioral science calls this the negativity bias. Human attention clings to injustice longer than it celebrates improvement. Progress is gradual and quiet. Harm is immediate and unforgettable. So the memory of struggle travels through generations, even as conditions slowly improve. Progress happens, but it does not always feel like progress. Freedom lag. Rights change faster than mindsets. Legal frameworks shift. Education opens up. Economies change. Doors that were closed begin to open. But the psychological adjustment takes longer. The Economist Glass Ceiling Index shows that women now make up more than half of the university graduates across many OECD economies and about a third of senior management roles. Those numbers would have been unimaginable 2 generations ago. Yet, many women still navigate their ambitions through the expectations of an earlier world. Behavioral science calls this status quo bias. People continue behaving as if old constraints still apply even after the environment has changed. Structural freedom arrives first. Psychological freedom follows slowly behind. The narrative inertia problem. Activism narratives are powerful. They mobilize attention, they create urgency, they force societies to confront injustice. But narratives also develop momentum. Stories that once perfectly captured a generation can remain dominant even as circumstances evolve. In the past 25 years, maternal mortality has declined significantly and girls' access to education has expanded across the world. Yet, public discourse continues to be shaped primarily by the most extreme cases of violence and discrimination. Those cases are real and they deserve attention, but they are also vivid and emotionally charged. Behavioral science calls this the availability heuristic. The stories that shock us the most become the stories that define the entire landscape. The result is a conversation that often reflects the worst moments rather than the broader trajectory. Opportunity underuse. Progress creates possibilities, but possibility is not the same as participation. Across many countries, women now outperform men in education, yet, labor force participation and leadership representation still lag. Part of the gap is structural. Childcare, workplace design, and policy matter enormously. But another part is psychological. When barriers exist for generations, they leave behind an internal memory of limitation. Behavioral science describes a pattern called learned helplessness. People carry forward assumptions about what is not possible even after circumstances begin to change. It is not weakness, it is historical residue. International Women's Day will always be a moment to acknowledge injustice. It should remain that. But perhaps it can also hold another thought that freedoms many women live with today were once radical demands: education, mobility, financial independence, professional identity. Earlier generations fought really hard to create them. The quiet risk now is not that those freedoms don't exist. The risk is that we sometimes underestimate how much they do. And history rarely offers progress twice.